Joe Ose Wusu, who is the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. He will get in there and pay his last respect. That's in your shot, Samuel Uku, who is the organizer, the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. We have around various kitty groups who have been bringing the place alive since morning when the whole ceremony began. They've been treating us to some very good traditional music, as you can hear from the background. And so, as I told you earlier on, if you're still at home, this is the right time to make your way to the Accra International Conference Center, where the man who has both sides has been a military ruler and a democratic one for that matter. He is known for his stand. He is also known to be a disciplinarian. But on the other side, we are told he was a very compassionate and loving man who was a man of the people, who made sure that everyone who came close to him had a piece of him. This is the man we mourn today. It is day 2 of the 4-day state funeral. As I told you, tomorrow we'll still be here at the Accra International Conference Center, where His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his wife, and then the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and his wife, and then former presidents of the Republic. So we're talking about His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and then His Excellency the former president and their spouses will be here to pay their last respect. The diplomatic corps and the international community will be here tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we move to the Independence Square, where the final funeral rites will be held in honor of His Excellency, the former President, J.J. Rawlings. It's going to be an invitation to all Ghanaians from all walks of life. We got to see him for the last time before he finally takes a bow. We are still here at the Accra International Conference Center. As I told you, we've seen the leadership of the New Patriotic Party, led by their chairman, Mr. Freddie Blay. They have paid their respect. They will walk out and then we get to speak to him. We'll get to speak to Freddie Blay, and then maybe Samuel Uku, who is the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. And so there you have in your shot Honorable Freddie Blay. He is the leader of the delegation which has come to pay their last respect. Hello sir, good afternoon. This is GTV. So what was going through your mind as you filed past?
I can't hear you.
I'm saying, what was going through your mind as you filed past? Did you have any personal encounter with this man who lives in State 3?
What went through my mind is that...
I'm saying, as you filed past, what went through your mind? Did you have any personal encounter with him?
Very little personal encounter that I've had with him. I've known him as a political figure in this country who has been a leader of this and longer than any other person. And he's had a very serious impact on the Ghanaian community. And at the end of the day, we are human.
Okay.
So he's gone. Lesson We must serve our own country in humility, with good heart, with fairness to all. That's all I can say.
As a party and leader of the party, do you have any words for the family, for that matter, Ghanaians?
Our sympathies to the family, particularly the widow who has taken with him through. Appreciate that. But I think it's carried herself very well. Appreciate that.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you. Right, and so that was the chairman of the MPP, Honorable Freddie Blay. We also get to speak to Samuel Uku, who is the organizer of the New Patriotic Party. So we just spoke to your chairman, who led your delegation to far past. I mean, did you have any personal encounter with this man who lives in state today?
Yes, I mean several. During their delegate conferences when I was delegated by the MPP leadership as well. And also when he lost his mom just a few weeks before his demise as well. He had a great sense of humor. And he stood for some values and principles. And it's our hope and prayer that even upon his demise, the rest of the nation will carry on with the very fight that he led, for probity and accountability in our political system. And I'm convinced that under Kufuor and the MPP administration, we are determined and committed to also upholding all these values for the betterment of our society.
As a party and for that matter as a government, do you have any plans of institutionalizing the memory of Rawlings?
That is for government to decide, not the party to decide.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. And so Samuel Uku is the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, the MPP. We are still here at the forecourt of the Accra International Conference Center. In the background is music from various ethnic groups who've come here to provide some traditional music as we say farewell to His Excellency J.J. Rawlings. Since morning, we've seen traditional rulers, we've seen religious leaders, we've seen leaders from the Islamic community, from the Christian community, where the shadow we have, coming to pay their last respect. You also want to come and do so before it's 5 p.m. because at 5 p.m. exactly, this particular place will be closed, maybe for preparations for tomorrow's ceremony. We have also seen NDC faithful wearing their NDC paraphernalia, who have come to pay their last respect. We've seen the cadres. We saw the party leadership. Early on, I saw Otokuno Wama, who is the Deputy Secretary of the NDC. He was here early on to pay his last respect. This is GTV's live coverage of the state funeral of His Excellency J.J. Rawlings. He went to Achimota School and then joined the military in 1979. That was in May. He staged his first coup, which was unsuccessful. He was arrested and thrown into jail and was awaiting execution. He was freed by some young military officers who helped him make a comeback on June 4th, 1981. Handed over power to Hila Liman. And today, we celebrate a man who has two sides, the military side and the democratic side as well. He is credited for the democracy we enjoy today. J.J. Rawlings will go home finally. In there we have the family. We've seen the widow, Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings, and her children, Honorable Zaneto Rawlings, MP for Kole. We've seen Kimathi Rawlings, the only son of the former president. And so we get to speak to more personalities. We speak to Ambassador. Let's speak to Ambassador. All right, so good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to Ghana Television. You have filed past. What was going through your mind as you did so? Maybe you've come to the final realization that the man is no more.
Yes, but you know, Jerry was such a great person. What he did for Ghana was incredible. Those who live in the hearts of the people, they never die. They live forever.
Right. You have been a staunch member of the NDC. Did you have any?
I'm a civil servant.
Right, but at least you worked. You worked with the NDC.
We went to school together, Jerry. Right. I work. I'm a career diplomat. I work for the government of Ghana. Any government of Ghana.
That's okay. All right. So, but did you have what's your personal encounters? Do you have any encounters with him? With this man?
Many. I thought we were in Ashwater School together. He was my senior in Ashwater School. He always stood for the little guy.
Yanko Accra International Conference Center na dwumadie kase a egusu na omamu nyina yeni dakotomo jema yeye no yeni eho enkomo kakra amasapon kuma mahai wadine susama mpanyini ada Ethiopia ene no di ehia ya obi ebehwe na diati abantia ba kwa yebeto wa ha Apia Stadium enso frasante bantamu aba lenie asapa wodie enya asanketwa na yewie ni sei no MPP wanum dwam tiani yewura Freddy Play asoso aba ya wo chese sei dia wo sha papa je wo ko na asoso wasanye ba no okura mu ana papa no ye nyina ye somo asoman na yehwe esane ko be ko ye di ti afro ye ne kata sese no enye kwa akwa ama sapon kuma tasi ye da mase ema mummo ene sha ahenewa.
Chairperson of the African Union. We got to speak to some more personalities who have come to pay their last respect. Good afternoon to you. What's your name, sir?
My name is Charles. And then he had this popular watcher joint, Amalia Wache, that he used to buy his wache and fish. So I knew him all those years. And I also had an opportunity to work with him for a very short time. He's a good man. But the last memories I had of him was I was at the mother's funeral. And I was working with him at that time, part of the security details. And the way he handled things I don't even know what to say. But his last moment, when the mother was gone, I knew how close we were to the mother. I realized that something had gone wrong with the old man. And even on that night, we were looking for him to sit around us. We found him at the mother's grave in the night. And that is the last I saw of him. He's a great man. We can't have anybody like him again. He has brought a lot of impact to the world and to Ghana. And to some of us, he's an inspiration.
All right, thank you very much, Charles. Right? Yeah. Okay, so we are still here at the forecourt of the Accra International.
NPP amanyoko empanyifo aba ya ni omo ebedi kobo ya Freddy Play dom channel de ma NPP amanyoko ya ne no ebedi enkobo na ya bisa ne nsem yenu biensa ya Freddy Play Papa J at the form ene enti ye bisa sa
I'm paying Rawlings assist when you baby con or the hay. Ghana for Omianka there. Wababasum, a man in Noroko. Obey everyone, Menina. Chade, any one, not some woman as some year. A man in Obacao. Abakwa Sama at the name of my baby woman and our Lina. Obakai. Number K. Obey been one bay in Nina. This year, Yarastan, bye bye. Yaman Fan Christmas. Na Tamonosa, na Nepeda, Yabeshabu.
Even as a potting, oh, the Kaka MPP as Amanoko, Yani Ora, as Sami and Fu entertain and Komokaka. We are Sami Okuyama Baba. You don't so. NPP say amanyoko yenim say papa je atiase no na morning ntam eye ego say ya wada ho nyema no okra mu na nani ekoho no mo ba hwe e de adwuma ne kra wo mo say yemabusia yako ene NPP two national chairman two party penifo am ya beta na chi am ya be mabusia yako na yesre ne say baby bia papa je e de ekune du ye no yeso so ye be san to aso yesre nyankopon hira e de mabusia na me ne wodi ye sha de say papa je waja na kura du e we che MPP asa amayoko mo adu bi say mo be fa no e de na fam mo ho amana be do ne MPP ana sign na mo hwe no baby adu de ye kan ma ne osem a enye ye ma ye nkra na chiwie ye kra wie na busia siesie che kama. As for individual ambition and in your bia person ye de wujama nipa no no ade na adwen decide me da se yes so ye da se pa we abusuafo abante samia ukubo isabre ne ne twetwe enkomo no ye da so awo bia ya de da ye mampanyi dada JJ Rawlings ene eduayi na ansa na wo baba bedru ha wo bewrem no sisa ya panyifo de agu akwa so COVID-19 protocols no wodri kan dru ha wo be fa gate mu international conference center ha wo be gate wo raba ye wo disinfection machine ya hodo me ensa wo ramu a na pu adro ade agu ho ansa na wafro akọ dan kase no a emu ane ade amu no ato no na wakwa akotwa ne ho ehia na eso ho soso hand sanitizer esisi wano mo a wo kona kohwa mu na wo ba wo san mia bi ede ya wonsa na eno ananche no wo hunu se asojafo ya wo mu tira emu ne ho no acha sima enum bia wono mo esesa wo mo afoforo eba be tira wanam enti yakasa COVID-19 to say dia ebe kasa wo mo edi so Ghana fo a eba so obi a esa ne mat kita ne hand sanitizer said ya be obi ababa ne ho ban e free ya de kodiawo COVID-19 ho enti ya da so e wa atweyam ya di kan e bedru ha ne de na mpanyimfo ne tie ne akuku dan bebre na wono mo audi kan aba e kodada ya Ghana Immigration Service mpanyimfo oman ya sra adwuma no aposifo mpanyimfo posi sahene na wono mo adi kan aba Yero Johnson asi adun katia any NDC Adam ora afeda gwashi woyome abanche sami jamfi wo nyina di ka ba no pa no e ba ntampa so akwasa sa amunum e bedru ha no mo no num pepepepepe enti panyufo no e ba ntam ne de wonum nyina ba be hwe na ni achi ekọ ya Ghana fo so enam a wo mo so ehwe enti yada so ewa ye ya se bibi e besi wa ha bia ya mama ni enkum a ye babo mumu amade sade esi etie enti se de so jaman papa ja wakasa na enkofo da no ene ne sa egunebo wa fra ne ntoma e won tintimu ya aya Ghana nyina ya ni wiase nyina ya na so wudi obi akasa wo se de na jeje kram no awasa wo koi Ghana yesom ya de ya adwuma ne yakuti akata hyehyɛ ene proye ama sapo kuma jasi mini joja jare ene same
Ebusianfo Accra International Conference Center eho na yegina efiti ennede kopim ni wuku ada so de eho na yebewo saa esanse ye mampanyi dada Jerry John Rawlings odupon kese na watutu a odampem na adofo nyina etwa ne ho ehwe na ni echi de etwa toe empanyifo kuku dam bebre efi Ghana chichi ni bencheye ne ntwa so nyina ekọ akogya ne kwan de etwa to krakrakra ekopem se ebekọ akopɛ ne kra bre na empanyifo kuku dam biti se Samia Oku Freddy Blade ni wom na ekeka ho de say boamo omu nyina aka afofo ho akwakoche odopa ede ama omampin dada Jerry John Rawlings na busua ene omamu nyina afofo guso a eko enti ye wa ha de ye besan akọ Accra International Conference Center isanse ho na action ni nyina ewo
and the wife and the family and Senator Rawlings is my sister. And it's my MP too.
Okay.
I love her.
All right.
I'm selling condolences to her family.
All right. Thank you very much.
With them.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So as I said, the place is very much open to everybody. Open to everybody. From all walks of life. It doesn't matter your profile in society. You're very much welcome to come and pay your last respects. We're going to speak to. Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
You've done a filing pass?
Yes, sure.
And then what went through your mind as you did?
Oh, I didn't believe he was dead, but I've personally confirmed he's dead now. And then my fond memories of him is I just like his charisma, how spirit-filled he is, and how courageous he is as a man. We've lost a gem, and he'll forever be missed.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Georgina Nete.
And were you connected to him in any way?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm from the Volta region, and I'm going to be precise. So one way or the other, I'm connected to him, and we've lost a father, a mentor, and a granddad. May his soul rest in perfect.
Thank you very much. That was
Yanko COVID-19 and Samno Emwe, Ga East Nadmo Municipal Director, Ora Set Kofio Seiki, on an impenium for Aqua Pro El Masalacha Hora, a what Domekwa Binya Wokoshe, Sir COVID in Shishen, saying, and a Oman for Eddie Juma, Efa.
Sorry, any incremofo asori dan ahodro e wokwa benya mercy coupon assembly nim e na kwanchefo panyi edema assembly no edi mpanifo anim no mutu aprokohwe yese omudi coronavirus mra no eye adwuma Owura Seth Osekisi ene UTV edi nkomo no se Ghana fo wodo mekwa benya potem won no ohamu nchemu aduokono enwotwe 98% die omo emfa COVID-19 embra no enye adwuma na se ya hwe anti omo wanhwe ya na yade no agensemu woto aso adi aseda emankramofo ne so modie omode mra eye adwuma wo monkramofo asoridan ahodo nim sei enensem ne koye
covid na abano emse nadmofo ye adwuma tutu eye prevention enti na wose etusi krom na eye ncheche mamamfo hu se yade no ewo ho na enkoye you can't see kwabenya krom na ti sikro mo se ne bebre enhye mask ɛyɛ om sɛ ade no the president kan na sɛ the nipa nyina ka no em sɛ enye nokre enti no obi obi hyɛ so meja mask ofie obi obi hyɛ so me ni bi aban mbre me bi ye free one ba mosque na eni je wo mo kwa benya mosque ne se bedu ho no ye ba ha na ba 10 o'clock ye ba no mo bucket si abonten a sema na de nyina wo ho omo ba hyɛ so na se obi obi bia no so no odi ka horo ne nsa ansa na ko fa buta no akoye onyankopɔn afamu de no de hu ya no so se ko mosque ho no obi a hyɛ mask on sha omo ma kwa ma hu ra mosque ko bompae ende wo kwa benya mosque de kama ne mo kwa benya kro na nkasa de asoden ewom omo to ade o omo mo koba o obi eni wa o hye max ono mo kakura na no mbofu ne mo ya to ebo acheche ma kire omo esane se efi edwo da ebe kwa benya police command ene na mbofu ebe tie kokrum na obi bia be hye na so te ka mu ana onam fo mo hye max bia no se da mra no abaya hye to no ene samra na pepe ayeduma
bia san hye we ewo ho obraba ye hwem ni mi kura ye hwe se obi ahuru ni sa no huru ni sa na on hye na de we ansana so beba masarachi isada na waba na mo so oba ama wan ye ni dem tumi pam se ko che ye ka so mudidi agro omo hwe na ho be chim nti ye mfuto dem je se omo sa amoaso de ye di no embrace na de ye ka no omo tumi engine tumu ni nose mask no omo tumi enhye na mfaso enye omudi
Papa J, free way, can be a better hole, gap be a better one, bet to me how my.
Well, yes, there's certainly a gap, but it depends on how Ghanaians interpret that gap and what they want to do with it. I believe that in life, we come and we go. So it's always expected that at some point in time, there will be such a gap. But if you make good use of it, you invariably will be able to learn a lot of lessons. The gap is a physical gap of his absence, but there is a value and a spiritual gap that doesn't exist. And those still live with us, and we can make best use of them.
Yeah, Papa, and no Eddie and Cobono, what share as Papa J, live free our free honor. I can't see and I bet Daho at the Ama of my Ghana. Yeah, kind of home from Padia, what she said, Papa J, woo, yeah, young who is our name hobium, and I or Casabium, now so, and your man no crum, Eddie, I was say or minor, your somo, I say, was here a come cassia, now your how cassia the Maria singing every prim, and your my Ghana, dear SCA, and he said, the Abusia for Yadaswa. Ewo atweye mu a ye hwe se enema nyina betimi aye tote ebusua ye maame na nakunadu agima Rawlings ene ebusua de ye kasai wo mutiamu ne ho ewo edan ne mu be bia ya deda Papa J no eho no mo ene wo mo wo enti obi awura mu na woduru emu ne ho a na wadane ne ho aboni mu ase achia ebusua ansa na watwa emu no ho ahia asan apie enti say dear Yadaswa ewa hadamo yari omanfo no a aba ebehwe amu ni bi nso bedidi nkomo ebre kobra no na yehu sede de omu free eni baby a de enti a wo mo ba nkofo fia chichi ni bencheye yani abanche ba ko apia stadium kasa wo se ahomache eni obu na ketem fra santemantemu nkofo fia chichi Papa do Papa J ne ho awodo pi ya enye asenketwa ekra na yensa aka yewura omare wade MPP amanyokuo no ye ka wono mu a ni ejina party na nem ekasama party na eche se wo ye twetwa wuro ni ba akopa the gentle giant wa begina menchan e wa hamira me mo ha mo akwa aba eba UTV
Major so many am
die na minnie
ndasi
Papa
tawani mi hu
me pacho amasapon kuma jasi
odo hwe na sie na mi hu
yo Papa J ene da empaso yi etia yi na ye ka se be ma na ka wotimi command Ghana na enipa anyina hyedem ene wa kye ne nsa agu ne boba ma wo abefa no ede na woni Ghana ne abusia nyina echi
areho sempa ene membe pie hanom
na mehwe Papa J, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, na odaho na ontumi nkasa ye twa ne ho kɔ wom timi na limpo no ahwɛdeɛn set mame started say me twin say nipa ya kra ya adan ne ya pepere ya ho sa nipa adan ne ya tete yan ho ya nya hwe obi anya hwe so ye kese so ye tintin tie akɔkɔ fita. A day like this will come. A day say ebeba. And it's gotten me thinking, say, Babia bedrobia for bumanipa. Now you heard. Na me kai say I nsembia no keka. And nema bia no ye. A kwaya no fa so eye ne niema. Anne odampam a wontimi nkeka na wondo abani dia wie o na ka me no mienu wa ni dia wie waka na asema wie yan dia ne ebe ya to aso adumi no mienu so eso this man stood ne debia na nsema o kan nyina se yankuntia keta hye ne project yankuntia sa injustices yamfa no kredie yeni no krema yen ho waye wawe woko so menomienu ne nsem o kan ye no sabe wafimu nti ne nsem na sana sabe ontia onka atiasefo ho nti yentwangu me de me feel say senka ye se tekrema mpro na nsem ano okeka no probity and accountability, fighting against corruption, indiscipline, injustices and kasa papa ni neda odam pamuno I think etimi de kai near the kai ho as citizens of Ghana ni ehwe de yen betumi aye ama nsem ano oka no abam to da bia obi free mu say ya ena ma na asam etre say Yesu Kristo nka wanwa nka wuso de no ama nkomhye no ama nsem obeka ye no enti nka papa yi free mu nne no ka meme de nyaaya anka yemfa nkwa adwendwen mu na ne nsem oka ye no edien ni ebetumi na na yeso okosi gotamu timu enne gotamu aifie na asi mu aye clean. What can we do? Nemo kind nemo ye no yemfa nkwa adwendwen mu mu amoy century for radio come starting project bring out the old memories and how we can whether we learned anything from what he was saying and what we can do to make nsem anase ni wuo no ebetimi benefit the whole nation.
Papa Jane hu do bebre enti no enura wo mu ye apese adwumadie e de ma na Air Force officers mess for ene ka wo hu bo ma wo ye adwumadie a enti se e de ehye ne munyam na yiri na nakono do agema Rawlings ne ma Zenato Amina Yasanto ene Kimati wo mu nyina ekwase ebi echi no mpanyimfo bi a wo mu di mu e wo mem so e de wani munyam ekotae apese no echi.
In his very last days, he died betrayed. He felt betrayed. That book, that was, and the response that came from those he worked with really hit him very hard. We did our best to get him, to restrain him from responding, but it was a big blow to him. Then come the mother's death, and that also hit him very hard. His last days were not his best, apart from the medical condition that deteriorated.
And I think when Ya and I were quite young, Ya comes right after me. And the gate was quite noisy. So as he would drive in through the gate, Ya and I could hear the gate, and we would run into our rooms and try and hide our shoes behind the wardrobe, because every time he'd come into the room and open the wardrobe and stand there for a few seconds. You have too many shoes. Why do you need so many shoes? You know, when he was young, he didn't need this many shoes. So why do we have so many shoes? So it was this lecture that you kept getting, and you thought, no. So as soon as he's coming into the room, we'd run ahead of him and try and hide our shoes, because we just couldn't handle the lecture over and over and again. I remember in the 90s, when we first got the Defenders in the Air Force, and he was flying the Defender. Every new aircraft that arrived, whether it was a fixed wing or rotor, he just had to get his hands on it. And so with the Defender, he came over to pick me up, and said we should go flying together. And I remember my mother wasn't at home at the time. My other siblings were there, and a friend of my mom's was there. And he said, okay, let's go. And then my mom's friend said, but why won't you go with the others? And then he said, well, we're going to do simulated engine failure. Actually, we're going to fly asymmetric. So he was actually going to switch one engine off, and we're going to fly on one engine and try and keep the plane that way, and then restart the engine. And then he said to the woman, and she said, well, if we all go and something goes wrong, we'll all die. But if I just go with her, then only one child will die. And I remember how he'd get upset if we all flew on the same aircraft, because, he says, decrease the chance of the whole family dying and split yourselves up and that kind of thing. So he was just an interesting man, and what she saw is what she get.
We were invited by the late Colonel Achampong in late 75 to come back from Egypt and come back home basically and reconnect with our family, our culture and everything. And we were here till the early 80s. So we knew former President Rawlings between 79 and 81, before the second coup, let's put it this way. But I'm really here to show my solidarity and respect to the family for his memory. We might not agree with everything he did, but I think there's a time when we all have to come together. We have to forgive, and somehow we have to channel the pain into something constructive for our country and our people. Now, former President Rawlings, maybe what I can say is that like Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, he was charismatic, and he appealed to all men and women in Ghana, and I think that's perhaps something you could say they had in common, that they could feel people and reach out to them, and people also could feel them and relate to them.
My first encounter on a direct and personal level was somewhere around 82, when he came to La for a cleanup exercise, and the entire township came out to engage in the exercise. Some just wanted to see him, others wanted to have a chat with him, and that was the first time I had a very close encounter with him.
There's nothing I want more. Yeah, I would fight for you. I'd lie for you. Walk the world for you. Yeah, I'll die for you.
Jumedie fefefa enura mpanyifo ede hihye so ewo officers mess ede ja omampanyida da John Rawlings ekwan no kakra eni eyi ede echiremo no ye gina we so na kasebo no ye de asi na bibia ebekoso we afidie so de eye omampanyida da John Rawlings ne ho nsem ene de wababeye ene de enei odampem no omanfo eka ede fa ne ho enti madaroma ye betwe ho na ye ba ye besade mako Accra International Conference Center Obanyima Efiache Siedu edamase